What if the original Trinity of India didn't include Brahma at all, but instead featured a warrior god, a fierce goddess, and a dark-skinned protector, forgotten by history? Until now, this isn't mythology, it's inscribed on an ancient seal. One of the longest seal ever found in the Indus Valley Civilization, a seal that might reveal the real origins of India's divine icons. Before the Vedas, before Sanskrit, before Brahma ever existed. What if I told you the gods we worship today were once real people, not celestial beings in the sky, but enlightened leaders, remembered across time until their stories were rewritten? Welcome to a journey that might reshape what we know about Indian history, mythology, and identity. Today, temples stretch toward the heavens, sacred chants echo from Kashi to Kanyakumari, and gods like Shiva, Vishnu, and Shakti are worshipped in every village and city. But here's the question no one dares ask. Why are there thousands of temples for Shiva and Vishnu, and barely 2 or 3 for Brahma, the so-called creator of the universe? Let's dig deeper. Some say Indians build temples only for their Kuldheivams, their ancestral family deities. But that's not the full story. Ancient mythology gives us a far more dramatic explanation. Brahma was cursed, not by a demon, not even by another god, but by his own wife, Saraswati, the goddess of wisdom. Yes, wisdom cursed creation. According to the Matsya Purana, after Brahma created Saraswati, the goddess of wisdom, he became obsessed with her. He grew 5 heads and followed her every move. But wisdom would not be stalked. Enraged and disgusted, Saraswati cursed him. "You will not be worshipped. Your name will be forgotten." And just like that, the creator of the universe vanished from devotion. In another tale, from the Padma Purana, Brahma was preparing for a sacred yajna, a ritual to uphold the cosmic order. But Saraswati arrived late, or perhaps she wasn't even invited. Unable to wait, Brahma married another woman named Gayatri and began the ritual without her. When Saraswati found out, she didn't just cry. She cursed, "Though you are the creator, from this day forward, you shall not be worshipped like the others." Since then, Shiva dances through time and Vishnu guards Dharma. But Brahma, silence. But could this mythological silence explain a historical mystery? Why the Indus Valley Civilization, with all its divine symbolism, made no mention of Brahma? Today we're decoding one of the most powerful Indus Valley seals ever found. Seal 1623 from Mohenjo-daro. It talks about 3 Hindu gods, sculpted on stone or clay, surrounded by Nagas. But no Brahma. Were these not gods of myth, but real enlightened people remembered as deities? And could Brahma's absence mean he was never a part of ancient Indian society to begin with? Could he have been introduced only later, through Aryan migration and Vedic rewriting? And why was the female deity of the original Trimurthys replaced in modern Hinduism? Let's uncover the truth, line by line, seal by seal. Indus Seal 1623 isn't just any artifact, it's a smoking gun. One of the longest inscriptions ever recorded in Iravatham, Mahadevan's concordance of Indus seals and scripts. And here's the twist. This same seal was found in 2 different sites within Mohenjo-daro, cataloged as Seal 1623 and Seal 2847. As displayed on the screen, it contains 13 words, inscribed across 3 lines, so intricately designed that Mahadevan labeled each line separately. Before we decode these lines, a quick note for new viewers. If you haven't watched my video titled Mapping Indus Valley Language and Seals, I highly recommend you check that out first. In that episode, I explain the linguistic methodology, the Tamil phonetic mapping system, and the symbol logic that we use to unlock these ancient texts. No guesswork, no encryption, no codes, just pure linguistic reading, the way you'd read a poem or a blog post. Link is provided in the description below. Let's begin the decoding. With that foundation in place, it's time to decode Indus Seal 1623. Line by line, word by word, truth by truth. This inscription uses alphabetic symbols, retroflex consonants, compound vowel consonants, and even logograms, all part of a complex, beautiful writing system, far more advanced than most people imagine. We begin with line 1 cataloged as 2-10001 in Mahadevan's concordance. And what we find there might just rewrite Indian history. During stage 1 of the decoding, we break compound symbols into their individual alphabetic components. In stage 2, we map each part to its corresponding Tamil letter, then interpret meaning and pronunciation. What does line 1 say? Vaya Malar, Kava, Muaya. Translation: the elder who resides in the grand prosperous mountains and protects cows, or all life forms. You can see on the screen how each Indus Tamil word is decoded into its modern Tamil form, along with the respective English meaning. Now here's something fascinating. The seal doesn't show a pictogram or a numerical symbol to represent the phonetic sound mu. Instead, it writes the alphabet A 3 times. In Tamil, the word mu or mundru means 3. On this seal, the symbol A appears 3 times. Rather than reading each A individually, we can apply a phonological principle called reductive repetition, a form of phonetic compression, where repeated syllables are collapsed into a compound form. This allows us to interpret the sequence as mua. When followed by the terminal sound ya, it forms muaya. In spoken Tamil, this naturally evolves into mutha, which means elder or the eldest. This analysis applies a blend of Tamil phonology and symbolic compression logic to decode the seal's intent. This is not reinterpretation. It reflects how phonetic compression and semantic precision naturally function within the Tamil language. And this consistent linguistic pattern is more than just a decoding trick. It's further proof that the Indus language is Tamil, structured, logical, and still alive in our grammar today. So what emerges from this seal's first line is a picture of an elder guardian, a prosperous mountain ruler who protects all life. Now that's a perfect match for one of the oldest deities in Tamil tradition, Murugan. So how did we conclude that this sentence talks about God Murugan? Let's turn to Sangam literature and even modern Tamil sayings for powerful evidence. In Sangam literature, written more than 3,000 years ago, Murugan is called Sayon, meaning the 6th generation ancestor. He is remembered as the eternal youthful warrior, protector of people, and lord of the mountains. To understand this, let's turn to Tholkappiyar, the oldest Tamil grammar text, which also outlines early Tamil culture, specifically Agathinai. Poem 5 gives us a remarkable linguistic time capsule. Mayon Maaya Kaadurai Ulagamum Sayon, Maaya Maivarai Ulagamum Waindan, Maaya Diempunal Ulagamum Varunan, Maaya Perumanal Ulagamum Mulai, Kurinji Marudam, Nedalya Ena Solya Murayan, Solavum Padumei. Translation: the forest-dwelling world where Mayon, Vishnu, resides, the dark cloud-covered mountains where Sayon, Murugan, resides, the fertile land of sweet waters ruled by kings, the vast seashore world where Varunan resides. These are known respectively as Mulai, Kurinji, Marutham, and Nadal, as laid out by tradition. In this passage, Tholkappiyar says, "As per the tradition I have laid out." Now think about that for a moment. If a 3,000-year-old text calls something traditional, how old must that tradition really be? These aren't recent stories. They stretch back centuries, possibly millennia, before Tholkappiyar himself. And here's the key, the second line in this poem. Sayon Maaya Maivarai Ulagamum. The world of Sayon, the elder god who dwells in the dark, rain-clouded mountains, connects directly to the deity described in the first line of Indus Seal 1623. Vaya Malar Akava Muaya. The elder who resides in the prosperous mountains and protects life. Even today, this memory survives in a Tamil saying, Kundru Irukum Idamelam Kumaran Irupan, meaning, wherever there is a mountain, there lives Kumaran, Murugan. Now here's where it becomes poetic and powerful. The Indus Seal, the ancient Tamil poem, and the modern-day Tamil saying all point to the same figure. So what does it all mean? This seal doesn't describe a mythological sky god. It refers to Murugan, not as a supernatural being, but as an enlightened tribal leader, remembered and revered for generations. This is the origin of Kuldheivam worship in India. Real people, respected for their wisdom, courage, and protection, gradually elevated into divine status. A protector of cattle, a dweller of the hills, a guardian of people and nature. A historical figure, later transformed into a god. So the elder protector described in this seal isn't just any tribal figure. He's the same Murugan worshipped even today, from hilltop shrines to household altars. We now move to line 20,001 of Indus Seal 1623, a line that doesn't just preserve language, but resurrects the identity of a forgotten goddess, possibly the mother or teacher of Murugan himself. But first, let's talk about how these seals were written. These ancient tablets were tiny, only 3 to 4 centimeters across. To fit complex messages, Indus scribes used visual compression. Letters were jumbled, symbols reordered, logograms condensed, like ancient shorthand. Line 2 of this seal from Mohenjo-daro follows that exact pattern. On screen, you'll see the original sequence of symbols. We decode the secret in following steps. Step 1. Break apart combined characters. Step 2. Realign them into proper reading order. Step 3. Apply Tamil phonetic mapping and grammar rules. Step 4. Transcribing Indus Valley era Tamil into current Tamil, and then translate it into its respective English meaning. Quick note, the final logogram Iaru, marked by 2 vertical strokes, actually belongs to line 3. We'll decode that shortly. Now focusing on the rest, what does line 2 say? Kahatar, Thanayai, Mayil Abva. Translation, the daughter of the forest people, the wise woman with the peacock. Or, the daughter of the forest people is the teacher or wise woman of Murugan. This isn't just any female figure. This is someone deeply revered in ancient Tamil tradition, possibly Kottravai, the original warrior goddess, whose identity was later rebranded in Brahminical texts as Matha or Parvati. The Indus script shows a female deity linked with the peacock, which is Murugan's emblem, the forest, and wisdom. But how do we know it's Kottravai? Once again, ancient Tamil literature steps in to bridge past and present. Let's turn to Perum Panatrupadai, a Sangamara poem by Iravatham, dated to the 1st century BCE. Kadun Surkundra, Payamput, Saye Payandhama Motut Tunangayam Selvi. Translation, the radiant and noble lady of great beauty and valor, who fearlessly fought and vanquished enemies in the fierce battlefield amidst lush green groves and gave birth to Sayon, the war god Murugan. This is more than poetry. It's ancestral memory carried forward in verse. Here's where the brilliance of the Tamil language and the poet shines. The phrase "say ye" isn't just a name. It's layered wordplay and cultural encoding. Say means sun. Say also implies semi meaning perfect or red-hued. Ye comes from Yedal, meaning to throw, especially a spear. So when Iravatham writes "say ye," he's embedding multiple truths. Murugan as the noble son, born in rage to fight injustice, born through Kottravai, the warrior goddess, wielding the divine spear whale, designed to be thrown. In Kanda Puranam, Murugan uses his spear to slay Surapadman, sealing his divine identity. Hence he is known as Whale Murugan or Whaleavan. But it doesn't stop there. When the poet uses the verb ye, meaning throw, he's not just talking about the whale, he's also linking Murugan to the Way Tavar Kuti forest-dwelling people who use spears to hunt and defend. This isn't Vedic mythology. This is Dravidian history, inscribed in Indus script, preserved in classical Tamil poetry, and hidden in plain sight. Kottravai, later called Mata Parvati or Durga, was not always a celestial goddess. She was a real wise woman, a tribal leader, and a protector of her people. But how do we confirm this even further? Imagine peeling back the earth in an archaeological dig. At the top, you find recent fragments. Dig deeper, and you uncover older relics. Go even further, and you reach memories so ancient, They echo across millennia. Now, what if poetry worked the same way? Let's bring in a Sangam-era voice, one whose verses still echo with clarity today. Nakkeerar, the legendary poet of Thirumurugatrupadai, written between the 2nd and 4th century CE. Nakkeerar doesn't just praise Murugan, he gives us something far more valuable, a poetic time capsule, preserving Murugan's maternal identity across different layers of history. He writes, Malai Magal Magani, Matror Kutre, Vetri Vel por Kottravai Siruva, Ilayani Sirapin Palayol Kulavi. Let's unpack this verse, layer by layer, just like an excavation site. Layer 1, the mountain goddess. Line 257, Malai Magal Magani, Matror Kutre, meaning son of the mountain goddess, the destroyer of outsiders. In ancient Dravidian culture, every life-sustaining force, the land, the forests, the waters, the mountains, was revered as a divine mother. Here, Murugan is not a sky god, son of mountain people or lord of the mountains. But then comes a sharp turn, Matror Kutre, enemy of outsiders. Who were these outsiders? Likely the Aryan Brahmins, who rejected Murugan and the truth of non-Vedic Hindu worship. Nakkeerar does not mince words. Just a few lines later, he writes, Andanar Verikai, Arindor Sol Malai. What the Aryan Brahmins hate is the mountain of truth spoken by the wise. This wasn't ignorance, this was hatred of truth. And that may explain why Murugan temples are rare in North India. His worship didn't fit into Vedic orthodoxy, so he was excluded. Later he was appropriated. Sayan of the Tamil Hills was reshaped into Subramaniam or Karthikeya. His tribal identity was softened, his truth rewritten. Layer 2, the battlefield goddess line, 258, Vetri Vel por Kottravai Siruva. Translation, victorious, spear-wielding child of Kottravai. Now Murugan is no longer just the son of the mountain. He is also the child of Kottravai, the fearsome battlefield goddess. This layer brings us closer to the Indus memory of a warrior mother standing alongside her son in battle. Layer 3, the ancient woman line, 259, Ilayani Sirapin Paleo Kulavi, meaning child of the ancient woman, adorned with threaded ornaments. Here lies the deepest layer. Nakkeerar traces Murugan's maternal identity all the way back to an ancient woman, so old that her memory existed long before even Sangam poetry. Could this be a literary echo of the Indus era? It fits. Indus Seals 1623 talks about both Murugan and Kottravai. Tamil literature keeps her memory alive, and Nakkeerar bridges them from mountain goddess to Kottravai to Palayol, the ancient one. Why it matters Nakkeerar wasn't writing simple devotional poetry. He was a historian in verse, preserving memory across centuries. Through him, we see Murugan not as a myth, but as a ruler of mountain, Kottravai as his warrior mother and protector, and their legacy carried from Indus script to Sangam verse to modern Tamil worship. Murugan's story is not about mythology floating in the sky. It is about memory rooted in the earth, unearthed layer by layer, just like archaeology. We've arrived at the final line, line 30001 of Indus Seal 1623. This line completes the full decoding of a seal that may change everything we know about India's spiritual roots. But before we dive in, let's recall something we saw earlier. The word Iru, marked by 2 vertical strokes, appeared at the end of line 2, but it didn't belong there. It actually starts the line 3, and now it unlocks the final revelation. When decoded, line 3 says, Iruta Eru Elutha Nagaya. Translation, Iruta represents Irulan, and then Thava Iru Elutha Nagaya means the snake-like humanoid form is sculpted on a big stone or clay slab. Together with rest of lines, this Indus seal describes a sculpted stone or clay slab depicting 3 divine figures, surrounded by Nagar symbols. Who is Irulan? In Tamil oral tradition, Irulan is a dark, mysterious protector, connected to night, secrecy, and wisdom. The Sanskrit word Krishna literally means dark or black. This isn't coincidence. It's linguistic continuity. Irul in Tamil means darkness or night. Irulan or Krishna is the dark-skinned protector, often depicted in blue or black hues. This isn't just a mythic figure, it's a real cultural memory, encoded phonetically and metaphorically. When decoded, line 3 says, Iruta, Thava, Iru, Elutha Nagaya. Translation, Iruta represents Irulan, and then Thava Eru Elutha Nagaya means the snake-like humanoid form is sculpted on a big stone or clay slab. Together with rest of lines, this Indus seal describes a sculpted stone or clay slab depicting 3 divine figures, surrounded by Nagar symbols. Who are the Nagaya? When we say Nagaya, we're pointing to the Nagar people, the serpent clans. They were not mythical evil beings as depicted in Vedic literatures, but real people, whose descendants remain in Indian society today. Nagar people represented knowledge, fertility, irrigation, and protection, the very lifelines of civilization. That's why almost every native Indian deity is entwined with serpent imagery. Shiva, Sakti, Vishnu, and Murugan, and their memory is still etched in the land itself, in names like Nagar Coil, Nagapatinam, Nagarjuna Hills. These are not just place names. They are living echoes of the Nagar people, whose blood and culture still flow through India today. Even today, many temples across India have Nagar deities enshrined alongside the main god or goddess of the temple. It's a quiet but powerful testament to their enduring cultural presence. You might have observed that I used a retroflex letter for the alphabet it in the word Yelutha, but not in the word Iruta. The retroflex form of makes the word Irutha, which means to exist. But here the seal uses Iruta, a choice that may seem subtle, but it's linguistically profound. Iruta is phonologically linked to Irutu or Irul, which means darkness. This aligns beautifully with the deity Irulan and even the Sanskrit name Krishna, both of whom symbolize darkness, night, and mystery. Besides, if you use the retroflex and read it as Irutha, meaning exists, you'd be repeating the word exist twice in the same sentence, creating redundancy and breaking the intended meaning. So the grammar here isn't a mistake, it's deliberate, preserving meaning, tone, and symbolism. And the use of the retroflex letter in Yelutha is equally intentional, not just to mean written, but sculpted or built, as in building a shrine. Let's now read the complete seal together. Vaya Malar, A Kava, Muaya, Kaatar, Thanayai, Mail Ava, Iruta, Thava, Iru Elutha, Nagaya. Translation: a snake-like humanoid form is sculpted on a large slab, depicting the elder Murugan, the warrior goddess of the forest people Kottravai, and Irulan, the dark-skinned protector. This isn't mythology. This is memory preserved in stone. This is identity etched in the language of the land. This is Tamil history, long before it was rewritten. In earlier videos, the legendary multitasker Decoded and Riches to Ditches, I showed how Indus seals depicted Shiva, the sustainer of all life. Shiva is still remembered as the god of gods, eternal, without beginning or end. But seal 1623 reveals something even more profound. The original Trimurthys of ancient India were not Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. They were Murugan, the red-hued warrior, lord of the mountains; Kottravai, the fierce mother and teacher of warriors; Irulan, the dark-skinned protector, later remembered as Krishna. And yet, one figure is absent: Brahma. The so-called creator appears in no Indus seals, no early Tamil verses, and has no deep worship lineage in this land. Why? Because Brahma was not native here. He entered later with the Aryan migrations, woven into Sanskrit myth. What began as leaders of the land honored as Kuldheivams, the family deities of each clan, was slowly transformed. Through Brahminical occupation of temples, these real figures were appropriated, mythologized, and elevated to distant sky gods, not to preserve their memory but to obscure their true origins. So while today we hear of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, the Indus seal speaks differently. It remembers Murugan, Kottravai, Irulan. They were leaders, mothers, protectors, warriors. Real people whose legacies were carved in Indus seals, sung through Tamil Sangam literature, and carried forward as living tradition. They were worshipped not as myths, but as Kuldheivams, guardians of families and lands. Only later were they renamed, reimagined, and rewritten in Sanskrit. It's time to set aside the borrowed lens of foreign scripts and hear the voice of this land, speaking through its own symbols. This concludes the full decoding of Indus Seal 1623. But the journey is far from over. Hundreds of seals remain, each carrying fragments of truth, truths that can reshape how we see our history, our language, and our civilization. If this video gave you a new way to see the past, like, share, and comment. Subscribe to stay part of this mission to uncover the real voice of the Indus Valley Civilization.